Now here is a creature with smugness and guts, haughty and arrogant. Look as it struts. Enter its turf and suffer your fate. Watch as its eyes fill with rancor and hate. Don't try to run. It's already too late.
What's good, everyone? It's your boy Dak Down the Way, aka the Dig Dug himself, Monster Hunters and Monster Hunters, Duggers and Diggets. We've returned with another video on Monster Hunter Rise, and today, guys, we look at the Nargacuga. Now, the Nargacuga, like many of you know, made his debut in the second generation of Monster Hunter. He was the flagship for Monster Hunter for Unite, and a largely woed upon and lovingly returned fan favorite. So, without further ado, let's get into the grit. Nargacuga, he is a quick little beastie. He's one of the faster monsters that I recommend you guys at least come to grips with fighting before you say that yourself is actually ready to fight the big smacker of monsters, because these smacker monsters coming up later, they have quite a bit of speed. But nevertheless, Nargacuga, the one thing you actually he is noted for is not just the speed, but his ferociousness. So he likes to rush relentlessly. He likes to lay the attacks on thick. He likes to combo, much like Magnamalo. Now, maybe not in the same vein as Magnamalo, because if they were able to do that, they would have to actually change the fundamental aspects of I almost say the character of the monster itself. But nevertheless, it should be noted, he does have quite a few attacks that combo into each other, and he likes to have variations to these combos. More notably, we'll talk about his moveset in a little bit, but let's talk about his weaknesses and such. So if you're actually going to fight the Nargacuga, I recommend you bring yourself either fire or thunder. Thunder is the preferred element, but let's say you did Zinogre before you fought Nargacuga, that's probably the best play. However, I'm going straight down the list in terms of actual quests. But let's say you fought Zinogre and you made yourself a Zinogre weapon, fantastic. You can take that weapon and actually do great amounts of damage to my man Nargacuga. His weak spot is his head, of course, and you do relatively decent damage against his tail. Now, reason being, his tail is actually quite unique to himself, because he likes to really use it a lot of ways to actually do lots and lots of damage. And you have to be very careful about it, because there's certain things he does with his tail that'll leave you like, oh dang, I can't believe I got hit with that. But nevertheless, with that said, let's actually talk about the moveset. But before we talk about the moveset to this monster, I have a new segment coming in where we talk explicitly about the movesets, and hopefully you guys like what we do with this one. It's going to be a relatively short sequence, or long one if you will, but we talk about really rather every move that the monster has, or every notable move that the monster has if the monster itself has far too many moves. And without further ado, here we go, the moveset for Nargacuga. Standard bite attack. It comes out pretty slow, but the hitbox is a little bigger than you think it is. The tail swipe, his bread and butter. If you pay attention to which back leg he throws backwards, you'll know which way the tail is coming. Also, you can look at the tail up high in the sky. Stalking tail slam. This is a new variant, where he skulks around looking all menacing and then throws his tail slam down. Watch out, it actually has a lot of active frames. The spike toss. This one, he throws the spikes that he generates from his tail down at the player. They used to add bleeding, but now they're just spikes. Still, watch out for them, they can trip you up. The tail spin, another classic. It comes out very quick, so with the right time you can completely dodge the entire attack. The lunge, usually a combo ender, but the best part about it is that he usually overextends himself afterwards, allowing you to get in very good position to double back. The Pouncing Combo. This is usually the combination that ends with that lunge attack. However, there's many variations to this attack. So just because he's throwing his arm blades out and then ending in a lunge doesn't mean he'll use the arm blades and end in a lunge. It might end in a double tail spin. Speaking of double tail spin, the double tail spin. Same as the first, but it happens twice. Green Narg did it best. The normal tail slam. Now this is something he'll do after basically doing nothing, after coming out of an attack, but it's still a tail slam. It just comes out without much ceremony. The Stalking double tail slam. There's actually a variant where it's just a standard double tail slam, but of course it's still a tail slam, but he usually slaps down twice. Be careful though. And so ends our first segment of the monster's moveset. Let me know what you guys think about that. I mean, it's kind of almost slapdashed, if you will. I'll take any feedback. If you guys have any interesting thoughts as to how I can implement it and make it better in the future, I'd be glad to use those same things and put it in the following episode and make it much better. But nevertheless, back at action, here we are. So, after we talked about the moves and a bit about the Nargacuga itself, let's talk about killing the damn thing, right? So, without further ado, we do know that we need either fire or thunder weapons to actually do the most damage. We do know that his weak spot is his head and also his tail. So let's sit down and actually talk about how to fight it. Alright, so we know Nargacuga moves pretty quickly. This isn't new to anyone. He's been moving fast since day one. So the best way to actually fight Nargacuga is to pay very, 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 very close attention to his attacks. We just seen all of his attacks. We kind of know what they look like. Now, that's the thing. You have to actually capitalize on all of his attacks that have huge, like, frames of recovery afterwards. For example, the double tail slam, even the tail spin. Another really good one is the Pouncing Combo. Almost every single time he does the Pouncing Combo and ends with a lunge, he will sit there and taunt you. And it takes about a good, I don't know, like 30 frames for him to actually get rid of it. So just understand that that's a great like way to whiff punish him. So let's say you're doing the damage to him, and then he does the tail spin. He does the tail spin, or he does even the double tail spin. Usually when he does that, he'll just kind of sit there. The best thing about the tail spin and the double tail spin is that the fact that it actually pretty quick moves, but the tail spin itself has only 2 active frames. That's why it's the easiest It's the easiest attack to iframe out of. What is an iframe? An iframe is the moment of invincibility that you get when you use a dodge attack or sidestep and so on. So usually what people do is they sidestep or dodge into the direction the tail is actually coming in from. So that way you can actually bypass the damage altogether. Nevertheless, if you can do this, if you're versed, you should know what we're talking about here. It gives you a lot more time than normal to actually whiff punish the monster itself, meaning hit the monster with some soft stuff. Now, a really good thing to actually do when you go to fight him as well is to try your best to break his arm blades. If you break his arm blades, it automatically results into him being knocked down on his side. So you get 2 of those. So you get 2 of those for free, and then essentially you get the knockouts and everything, and as you normally would. But the arm blades are really potent. The problem with this though is that they are usually quite armored if your weapon isn't of high sharpness, or you're using an attack that doesn't have some kind. I almost said Mind's Eye. Wait, it is Mind's Eye. I was gonna say ESP. If you have Mind's Eye on any of your weapons, or if you have an attack that actually has Mind's Eye on it, you want to use that to repeatedly break the monster's wing blade. Now, let's say you've just fought Magnum Malo, much like myself. You can use the Hellfire Explosion to actually do a lot of damage to them as well, because the Hellfire, if you guys have seen from my previous Magnum Malo video, which you can check out here, the Hellfire leaves tiny little mines on the ground that allows you to explode the monster, kinda. If that makes any sense. Hopefully it does. But if not, go watch the video because I can't explain it. I didn't actually make the video. I made someone else make the video. Nevertheless, it'll leave it behind, and then when triggered will cause a huge explosion, doing an excess amount of damage, allowing you to use that damage to break those parts, to do more damage, to get that knockdown. If that made any sense at all. Nevertheless, stay close to the monster actually. But you don't want to stay too close. You kind of want to see what he's doing. You don't want to play a far game with this kind of monster. I mean, you can, but the problem is he doesn't really have a lot of long range kind of capabilities. He will do the spike toss, and he will also like to throw his body at you with the combo or the lunge, but for the most part, that's the best he can actually do. Anyway guys, with that said, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. That is the Nargacuga. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about the mid sequence thing I did with the moves or whatever, and if you like that, we could probably use it in more videos, and if not, it is what it is. But thank you all so much. I'm sorry this video came out really late. I just had a bunch of things on my plate. It's not like I was freaking out and like that. I actually had a bunch of things on my plate. I had to actually go back and help a lot of people do some things. Had to help my mother, had to help my sister, had to help some other friends, just a bunch of other stuff. So it was one of those instances where you wanted to make more videos a lot quicker. It's just a lot of stuff came up at the same time. Nevertheless, we will be back real soon in probably a day or two for this Zinogre video. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, everyone.